She's very attractive.
Oh, much more than that, I'd say.
Oh, what would you say? Are you smitten?
She's a married woman, Bertie.
Yes, of course. I'll confess that when I heard that Leopold was making a fool of himself over her, I thought they were talking about you, having heard that you called on her occasionally. I was relieved when it turned out to be the Belgian.
Yes, he behaved disgracefully.
Well, thank heavens you managed to hush it up.
Oh, I did nothing. Lillie, Mrs. Langtry, had no desire to be involved in a scandal. No one could be more discreet.
Indeed.
What brings you to Windsor?
I'm lunching with Elena and Christian at Cumberland Lodge.
Oh, yes?
So I thought I would call on my dear brother.
Delighted.
Have you heard from Mamma?
Daily. I might as well have gone to Balmoral with her.
Mm-hmm.
You?
Oh, the usual lectures. Oh, in her latest hobby horse, she wants me to insist that Alexandra cut
I
short
have
her holiday.
promised Mamma that I wouldn't discuss it, Bertie.
With me?
Yes?
She dislikes my opinions, my friends, my way of life, and above all, that I am not an imitation of father. So although my dearest wish is to serve her and my country, it appears that I am not to be trusted. Unlike you.
Well, I am only Mamma's secretary, Bertie.
Only. If you knew how much I envied you that. I have begged her to let me do some useful work. Anything. Still, having no responsibility does leave one free for other pursuits.
I was terribly envious of Patsy.
Why?
Well, you were so natural and unimpressed.
Well, you can't live in awe of someone you've seen crawling round your drawing room carpet playing bears with the children.
Thank you.
Lily, what did you think of the heir to the throne?
He smelled rather strongly of cigars.
Oh, it does, doesn't it? You know, I think he smokes even more than Oscar.
Yes, where is that imp of fame? I find it impossible to be punctual myself, but I do so hate unpunctuality in others. Well, I have no intention of reheating those muffins. Only the law or a 6-foot poet knocks like that. Now, if it's the law, pray defend me. But if it's that overgrown leprechaun, none of us shall speak until he has made the most contrite apology.
Mr. Oscar Wilde and Mr. Frank Miles.
Ah, how lovely to see you.
I perceive we find you in the rudest of health, Jimmy. No fond word? No gentle greeting?
No greeting without an abject apology. You are very, very late, Oscar.
Oh, my dear Jimmy, how can that tiny clock know what the great golden sun is doing? Bonjour, ma divine déesse.
Well, we forgive you, you impossible creature. Wilkinson, hot water.
Right home, Mr. Whistler.
What was that?
Jimmy.
Have you hired a butler?
Perish the thought.
Who is he, Jimmy?
A bailiff. Yes, the court decided that he must remain here until I settle a few trifling debts, so I told him that he might as well make himself useful.
Jimmy.
Now, Oscar, stop masquerading as a Kodiak bear. Take off that garment and rejoin the human race.
Surely it's too warm.
He wears it to be noticed.
To be noticed is a necessity of life, but that coat is altogether too excessive.
In life, as in art, nothing succeeds like excess.
Important news. Our Lily is turning in exalted circles.
So she told me.
When? We met briefly this morning at Edward Poynter's studio.
Lily, you are growing very cagey.
In that way, the Sphinx keeps her mystery.
And her secrets.
What do you mean?
He means that we have reason to believe the Lily is ripe for adventure.
They're cold, Frank.
Is it true, Lily, you're going to move?
Move?
Where to? Oh, nothing settled yet.
Where?
Ned's seen a little house in Norfolk Street, off Park Lane.
Now we shall try to revive the tea.
Not for me, thank you, Jimmy. I must be off.
Really?
So must I.
So soon. I'm devastated.
Shall we come with you?
No, thank you, Frank. You stay and enjoy your cold muffins.
I'll see you down.
Oh, no, Mr. Wilkinson. Can see us out.
Oh, yes, Mum.
Thank you very much for tea.
We'll meet again soon.
Yes.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Bye.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Oscar. Frank.
Bye.
I should like to hear more about this new house.
So would Patsy West, obviously. That's why she's gone with her.
Our divinity is becoming devious, have you noticed? She says just enough to each, but tells everything to no one.
Now, you see, we can entertain properly. And Ned can have his own study and bedroom. Oh. This is the drawing room. I've left it till last. What do you think?
Well, it is rather bijou.
It's like living in a doll's house. Mind you, I'd rather have rooms than space. And besides, there has to be somewhere for the servants to sleep.
Servants?
Mm-hmm. Ned says we're to have a butler. And down in the mews, there's a stable.
Do you have a four-footed friend to put in it?
Not yet. One day, perhaps.
Well. Lily, my dear, don't you think this furniture is just a little too heavy for the size of the room?
We were very lucky with it. It's art furniture.
It's fake.
Fake?
Fake.
Oh, but it can't.
And who chose the drapery?
I did. I thought they would add something.
Most original.
Then you like it. Yes?
Scusi, Mr. Fruin is called, signora.
Ask Mr. Langtry to come down, will you?
Mr. Langtry is asleep, signora.
Oh, well, don't disturb him then. Ask Mr. Fruin to come in.
Does Ned lead such a tiring life?
He was out very late last night. Morton, you know James Whistler?
Yes, indeed.
Have you been riding?
Just about to. Unless you've forgotten I was to pick you up.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Don't let me detain you.
I brought Redskin for you. My man's holding him.
Oh, what a pity you could have left him in Lily's stable.
Morton, I'm really sorry.
No. I merely came to see the doll's house. I must run, or skip, as the mood takes me. So stir not. I'll see myself out.
He's a funny little chap.
Well, I'd better change. Excuse me.
Whistler was right, you know. Now that you have your own stable, why don't I leave Redskin there for you?
Leave him?
Or wouldn't you like to borrow him? My groom would take care of him for you, and I'd pop in as often as possible.
What would my husband say?
Oh, Ned won't mind. Tell him what a favor he's doing me.
Morton.
Here they come. Langtry's Lancers.
This is intolerable. I want to be alone with you.
Ned! Simmons! Ned, are you all right?
Yes, I'm fine. The downstairs are too narrow. I missed my step, that's all. I didn't do anything else.
Simmons,
I'm all right.
Mr. Langtry's had a fall. You'll have to help him to his room.
Don't make a fuss, woman.
We won't be going out. You'll have to take a note of apology round to Lord Randall.
Very good, madam. Come along, sir. You lean on me. Look, I'll be right as rain. I can manage, woman.
Your maid tells me that you're not going out this evening after all.
No.
That's splendid.
Is it?
Yes. Instead of merely leaving this impedimenta, now we can get down to work.
On what? What is that, Jimmy?
Lily, I have been unable to think of anything
but your sanctum sanctorum here, and it's plum-colored draperies. The suggestion is almost of the Arabian Nights tales, yet I thought there is something missing.
Jimmy, what have you got there?
Palm leaf fronds and gold paint. We pin them to the walls. By the application of one to the other, we shall turn this funeral parlor into quelque chose d'extraordinaire.
Is Mr. Whistler still here? What's going on?
Oh.
Well, I'm going to retire. You lock up when he's gone, Dominique.
Buonanotte. Sleep well, Mr. Simmons.
You didn't.
But I did. I decided to join an expedition to help Chile in her struggle against Spain, but we reached Valparaiso just as the city was being bombarded by Spanish gunboats.
What did you do?
Oh, we got out as fast as lightning. The riding was splendid, and I, as a West Point graduate, galloped at the head of the procession.
I finished.
So have I.
Oh, Jimmy, it's beautiful.
Oh, naturally. You see how it lightens the room? We're making a beginning.
I think... Oh, no, look, there's paint spattered over the fake art furniture.
Good. For the next step is to get rid of it.
And you've got gold paint in your hair. Oh, no, look, we're covered in it.
You see what an artist I am? Now I've gilded the lily.
Shall I wear it to the Suffields for tea tomorrow?
Unfortunately, my wife had to go to the country for a couple of days. Now, you know Elena, don't you?
Yes, of course.
Lily. And Mr. Freak?
Good afternoon, Mr. Freak.
Good afternoon. How's your husband?
Very well, thank you.
Oh, I'm delighted to hear it.
Thank you. Now, Lily, my dear, I have one or two things to discuss with Sir Alan and Mr. Freak. Would you excuse us for just a minute?
Oh, yes, of course.
This way, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Straight down the passage.
Oh, you're studying, yes?
That's it.
Thank you.
Your Royal Highness.
How nice to see you again, Mrs. Langtry. Well, since our host seems otherwise engaged, perhaps we shouldn't wait. Please. Oh, please. Please forgive the subterfuge. But I very much wanted to meet you again. And I find that whenever I call upon a lady, she automatically risks losing her reputation in the eyes of the world. You may leave if you wish.
Since Lord Suffield has gone to so much trouble and provided such a delicious tea, wouldn't it seem rather rude?
No, I'm most happy to. And as you say, it will help my wife to get out and about a bit. We came here for her health, you know. Ah, my dear, I've just agreed to let Mr. Fruin stable one of his horses in our mews, in return for which he's going to allow you to ride it.
As often as you please.
It's very generous of you, Morton.
Oh, not at all. Professional stabling is ruinously expensive. Perhaps I'll have the pleasure of seeing you more frequently in the park.
I should think that's highly likely.
Are you sure you won't stay for that drink?
Thank you. No, another day, perhaps.
Well, call any time.
I would be charmed to. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Langtry.
Ned to my friends.
Very well, then. Ned, we'll meet soon.
I look forward to it. Oh, and thank you for the book.
It's a pleasure.
That's the sort of chap we should cultivate. He has some very good connections. Oh, and he's invited us down to his place in Sussex for the weekend. That surprised you, didn't it?
A little.
You're not the only one people want to know. He's heard a lot about my early sporting days. He's a first-class huntsman and an expert angler.
can imagine.
Are you sure you invited her?
I don't need to. She comes here every Sunday and Thursday.
No, I used to. That's the point, isn't it?
The Lily was not at home.
Are you certain?
I spoke to her charming husband, the egregious Ned. He was delighted to inform me that Lily had gone out for the afternoon. If I wished to see her later, I could do so by hiring a horse and riding through the park.
This is the second Thursday she's missed.
Yeah, she's missed a sitting for a portrait, too. And a lunch with Patsy.
Why?
Oh, the muffins are cold.
Again? Is this a new fashion, Jimmy? If so, I hope it will not catch on.
I don't understand what's happening. She's changing.
Blossoming in a circle of new admirers. The Lords Ranelagh and Suffield, Sir Alan Young, Freak the industrialist, and I suspect meeting someone in secret.
Wait, they're all friends of the Prince of Wales, Oscar. Do you mean that...
Ah, no, Jimmy. She's only met the Prince once in passing.
Well, she is obviously keeping private rendezvous with someone. It's really charming, my dear. You've transformed it.
And what a pretty frock. Do you know you're making me envious with all your new things?
It's so much easier now that Ned's giving me a clothes allowance.
An allowance, this new house, a whole new wardrobe. He must have robbed a bank. Have I said something wrong?
No, Oscar. I'm sorry, will you excuse me? I must go and change. We're dining with the Sassoons.
Reuben! Oh, give him my love.
Yes, of course I will. No, please don't go. I'll be down again in a minute.
You know, Patsy, something is the matter with Lily.
She's very concerned about her husband. You know how tight he's always been about money. Well, just lately, he doesn't seem to mind how much they spend. He says he's been lucky on the stock exchange. Well, he always says it just when they need it. Do you know, before they moved here, she heard him telling Mr. Freak and Alan Young they might have to leave London because it was so expensive.
Oh, and she thinks that they're arranging for him to be lucky.
Yes, and to make sure she accepts their invitations and is suitably dressed. After all, they owe their social position to the prince's favour. They've seen the interest he takes in her.
Yes, he singles her out whenever they meet.
Soon he will go nowhere unless she is invited. And she is the current favourite.
Do forgive me, Patsy. I thought you were.
Not any longer.
Do you mind?
If it wasn't Lily, possibly. To tell you the truth, I'm quite relieved. Being the royal favourite is very, very exhausting.
Is the prince so demanding?
Only of being amused constantly. He can't stand being bored, not for a moment, and the thought of that terrifies his hosts.
Has the Lily become his mistress?
No, the prince only chooses married women who've already given their husbands an heir. Otherwise, he prefers a romantic friendship. Well, it could be ended without complications.
So he will make her the queen of society?
For a season. That is as long as his enthusiasms ever last.
Thank you. Thank you. That was pretty good, that wasn't it? Didn't think you and more. God. Yes. The outgoings of the house are very expensive.
Forgive me, Edward.
And
your glass is empty.
oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, as I was saying, now that we have a carriage and a coachman to support...
Well, it's nearly the end of the season. You'll find that your expenses will drop considerably.
And do you really go in for all this table rapping and spirit voices stuff?
Not since I was about 13, sir. I gave it up because I was too frightened.
Oh, these things are usually something that do happen to children.
Oh, but they still happen. Dreadful things, even to my butler.
What kind of things?
Well, our house in Norfolk Street is built almost where the gallows called Tyburn Tree used to stand. Our butler sleeps in the basement. Night after night, he's wakened by shrieks and moanings to see the heads of the victims rolling right across the bed.
Does he vouch for this?
He swears to it, sir. Though I admit I might be more inclined to believe him if he didn't sleep next to the wine cellar.
You minx!
That was very unfair. You made me go all shivery for nothing.
She's right about the house, of course. It is very gloomy.
Well, you'll be glad to get away from it then.
Where? Where to?
After the season.
Oh, yes, I suppose so.
Have you decided yet, Lily, where you'll be going?
We hadn't thought of going anywhere as yet.
Well, there'll be nothing to stay in town for. No one does. The place will be absolutely dead for the next 5 or 6 months.
Will you be leaving, sir?
Well, there's no reason to stay once the season's over. After Cowes, my wife and I always take the waters for a couple of months in Austria. Then we go to our place at Abergeldy near Balmoral for the shooting. We spend Christmas at Sandringham. We don't get back to town until February or March.
I'd be delighted if you and Edward would join me for a cruise on my yacht for a week or two.
Oh, that's very good of you, sir.
Oh, very kind.
No.
Somehow, I'd imagined you'd go back to Jersey to stay at the deanery with your parents.
Oh, no, the new deanery is not suitable for... I've just thought of something. I shall have the whole of the park to ride in, all to myself.
I was thinking of going to Jersey. I've rented Portlet House from the Joneses for the rest of the year. You know them, don't you? And young Arthur.
Of course. Portlet was like a second home to us when we were children. And Artie, I mean, he's like another brother.
Yes, I've heard tales of you and your brothers.
I could tell some myself, at the risk of embarrassing her.
Ah, a bit of a tomboy, was she?
Well, if you call tarring and feathering the statue of your royal ancestor, George II, in the main square at St. Helier, the act of a tomboy, yes, sir.
Well, it sounds more like high treason.
We were only high-spirited.
Look, I have an idea. I shan't be going to Jersey for a few months yet. Why don't you, Mr. Langtry, and you, Lily, stay at Portlet House for a while?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh, seriously?
Well, it's there. You might as well use it, if you like.
Lord Ranelagh, I cannot imagine anywhere I would rather be, nor anything I would rather do.
One dear.
Come in. Ned, you remember Arthur Jones?
Yes, hello. How are you? Mrs. Le Breton?
Welcome back to Jersey, Edward.
Oh, it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed at all.
A bit more dilapidated, maybe.
I was expecting you to meet the boat.
I had to get the house aired for you and the beds made.
It's been locked up. We're all living at the farm.
Oh, I wish you'd been there. There was a band, and lots of people turned out just to welcome me home.
You're famous. We read all about you in the papers.
They sell your photographs at the stationer's in St. Helier.
And what do you think, Mother? We've all been invited to dine at Government House. Day after tomorrow.
All the time I've lived here, I've never once been asked to Government House. Your father, not me.
Yes, where is Father?
Didn't he meet you at the quay?
No.
He was going to. He must have been held up on parish business.
I see.
I'll show you your rooms. You did say 2 bedrooms.
Yes.
I'll show you yours. This way, Dominique. Oh, yes, up this way.
You'll be getting some sailing in while you're here.
Sorry?
You'll be getting some sailing in while you're here.
I don't have a yacht anymore.
I dare say I could borrow one for you.
Really?
From one of the fellows of the Victoria Club.
Should be easy. You're quite a celebrity.
Really? Well, let's have a drink on it, shall we?
I thought I'd find you here.
I've always thought of it as my special garden. It's just how I remember it.
And you wanted to stay the same. I wouldn't let anyone change anything you'd planted.
Thank you, Artie. I remember how you and Clem and Reggie used to tease me about it. I thought you were going with Ned.
He's the Victoria Club.
Hasn't he gone sailing?
He'd rather drink and talk about it. I hate to see you so unhappy.
What do you mean?
With Ned, your life, with everything.
Oh, you don't know anything about it.
I hadn't realized it till I saw you at Government House. Everyone clustered around you. I began to understand what your other life was like in London. You were like an actress playing a last part.
Well, Artie, perhaps it was.
Sorry, I didn't mean to upset you, Lily. I had no right.
I'm only upset because what you said is true. I'm not happy with Ned. I tried to make our marriage work, but I gave up. I fell in love with the yacht and married the man. I've got everything I wanted. Everything I ever dreamt of. But now that other life, as you call it, is over. I was a season's novelty. I don't mean that I'll be ignored, but the best is over.
Have people been unkind?
No. No, very charming. Though when they look at me, they don't see me. Just something created by a kind of hysteria.
I've loved you ever since we were children. Why do you think I was at your father's church so often? When you said you were going to marry Langtry, I don't know how I went on living. If I had the money, I'd have followed you. I'd have come to London and somehow taken you away from him.
I had no idea.
I've always hoped that one day you'd find the life you wanted was empty. Not for you. And you'd always find me waiting.
It's Mother and Dominic coming back.
My dear, I'm only here for a day or two. As you can see, the house is closed up, really.
Yes, we came back from Jersey sooner than we'd expected. Ned doesn't care for it there very much.
How is he?
I wanted to talk to you about him.
Yes?
Well, you know what he's like. With nothing to do, he's drinking all the time. And lately it's become worse.
What would you like me to do?
I can't live with it any longer. I'm going to leave him.
You realize what it would mean?
Yes.
You're not thinking of divorce.
I don't think so.
Forgive me asking. Is there someone else? Not someone I know. Someone in Jersey?
I've known him all my life. He's quite different from Ned.
Can he support you?
No.
That that you love him?
I don't know. I'm happy with him.
And you want my advice? If you leave your husband, you will, of course, be finished in society and can never return. You have realized that you will surrender forever the position you have won?
It's lost anyway. It finished with the season.
On the contrary, my dear. You see, I am really here in town on the Prince's business, expressly to contact you. He wishes to see you.
The Prince?
He's returning from Scotland. Incognito, of course. Perhaps I should explain. Since Lady Mordaunt gave birth to her first child, and her husband, quite wrongly, accused the Prince of being the father, His Royal Highness has made it a rule never to enter into a liaison with a childless married woman. However, he has thought long and deeply about your relationship. He sincerely admires you. He says, in fact, that he cannot live without you. He must have the answer from you yourself. If it is yes, in return, you will be given a position in society such as no woman has ever had. You will be the most envied woman in the world. And that is what you must decide.
It's charming. The perfect setting for you.
Most of the ideas came from James Whistler.
Ah, I thought I detected his touch. I have missed you. I was looking forward, of course, to seeing you again. But I did not realize how much I would miss you. Have you thought of me?
Many times, sir.
You have never been to Scotland, I believe.
I'm told it's very beautiful. I'm sorry to hear there was illness in your household.
It is a foul disease, typhoid. I myself nearly died from it a few years ago.
So did I, sir. At about the same time.
Indeed. Why, then we are both living on borrowed time. I have been invited to Heron Court, Lord Malmesbury's place, for the weekend after next. A house party. I wonder whether you and Mr. Langtry would care to join us.
We would be honored, sir.
I understand Mr. Langtry is away on a fishing holiday.
He left yesterday. For a week with Sir Alan Young.
So you are left with only your maid and your clairvoyant butler at home.
He's been given notice to preserve what's left of the vintage port. There is only my maid, who is devoted to me.
No doubt, now people know that you have returned. The world will beat a path to your door.
Come in. Yes, Dominique.
Beg your pardon. Signora, Mr. Fruin has called. He wishes to see you.
Will you tell Mr. Fruin and anyone else who calls that I am not at home?
To wait for so long.
Take me for a fool.
Not here, please.
Do you know what I call that kind of behavior? Am I supposed to accept it?
Please,
Writing letters to him? My own dear Bertie, for pity's sake, I must have been blind.
It's only a note to thank him for his present.
What right has he got to give you presents?
He gave all the ladies presents.
Yes, but yours was special. And what do you think his dear wife thinks of it? His precious princess? Or is she too damn used to it to worry?
Really, you should have seen the brute that Ned landed. I'd have lost him, but he played him like a master for fully 2 hours. Or was it 3?
2.
Yes, we must arrange another fishing trip sometime. Perhaps you could give me a few hints.
I don't think I'll be leaving town for a while.
Oh, what's that?
Well, I'm quite...
You know that letter I sent you after you left Home Court?
Oh, I treasure it.
My husband read it.
Ah. So that's what's the matter. But how could he?
I used the blotting paper on the table in the bedroom. He held it up to the mirror and was able to make out most of what I'd written.
And what made him do a thing like that?
I think he's jealous because you'd given me this.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Oh, my poor dear Lily, how very trying for you.
Lord Malmesbury saw that I was upset, so I had to tell him why. Oh, I mean, only that my thank you note was a little indiscreet.
A little? What did he say?
He was extremely annoyed with his servants, and he's ordered that the blotting paper in the guest rooms to be changed every day.
Don't worry, my dear, I'll see to it. Oh, by the way, I've been thinking. It's time you met my wife. I've seen the way some of these old dowagers look at you. But once you've been accepted by Alex, there's nothing they can do or say.
Are you sure it's wise?
Yes, of course. Besides, she's asked to meet you. Don't worry about Ned. I'll take care of it.
Prince, what a gentleman. Signora. Next to him, all the others are nothing.
I want you to post this, Dominic. It must catch the mail boat to Jersey.
Out. Have you seen this? Your precious prince has sent me a pair of gold cufflinks with his monogram.
How charming.
Charming? Does he think he can buy me with little presents?
It's what he gives to his friends as a sign of his special favor. Most men would be honored. And have you read the card? I didn't want to tell you and spoil the surprise. You're to be presented at court. To the Queen. And afterwards, we've been invited to dinner at Marlborough House with the Prince and Princess of Wales.
What do I have to do?
Write and thank him for his gift. And to the Lord Chamberlain.
Yes. Yes, I'll do that right away.
Oh, signor Lillie, che meraviglia!
Don't
che
make a
sogno!
fuss, woman, for God's
Felicità,
sake.
non ci credo. I believe your husband and mine have an interest in sailing in common.
Mr. Langtry is, or was, a noted yachtsman.
Yes, my brother-in-law Leopold told me that he had won the Le Havre race.
In very bad conditions, Your Royal Highness. I know, I was there.
How exciting. My husband will only let me sail with him when the waves are no higher than you might find in a bathtub. Have you been in any other winning races with him?
The Thames race, from the Nore to Erith, 4 years ago.
I don't remember that Mr. Langtry won that.
Well, you see, Miss Knowles, there was hardly any wind, and we drifted for hours. By the middle of the night, I'd had quite enough, so I went down to sleep in my cabin. Then, just before dawn, we floated first past the finishing post. But so as not to disturb me, my husband didn't fire his signal cannon. And because of that, he was disqualified.
Oh, what a shame. And what did he say?
I don't think I dare repeat it, Mom. But I slept very well.
Oh, here they are. I swear the gentlemen these days spend less and less time before joining us after dinner.
No brandy and cigars could compensate for the pleasure of your company, my dear.
Oh, don't mumble, Bertie. I'm sorry, Mrs. Langtry. I am a little deaf, but I can hear you perfectly. Your wife has been telling us how you lost a race out of consideration to her, Mr. Langtry. I call that truly noble.
It was the rules, Mum.
Quite.
I wish there was a little music. I feel like dancing. Do you feel like dancing? I'd love to. So what shall we do about it?
Francis, what's happened to that orchestra that played for us at dinner?
They're having some refreshments, I expect, sir.
Good. Well, when they've finished, ask them to play outside, will you? We'll leave the doors open.
Certainly, sir.
Now, Leopold, you are not to dance more than twice. You promised Mama.
Very well, I shall dance first with you, and then with Lily.
We could move into the ballroom if you prefer, Mum.
No, I prefer it here. It's not so formal.
Now, each lady must choose what she would like to have played. Starting with you, Lily.
If everyone else is going to call you Lily, so must I. Thank you, Mom. I am sorry, Sir Alan.
I was just remarking, Ma'am, how very charming the conservatory is.
Yes, it is almost my favorite room. I have been thinking, Bertie, would Lily and Mr. Langtry like to come with us to Cowes?
I'm sure they would. Would you?
Well, we'd be delighted, Ma'am.
That's settled then.
Well, now, Alex, if you'll excuse me, I think we should circulate.
Well, do so, by all means.
Now, you like plants and things. I don't suppose you've really seen this room yet.
Not yet, sir.
Well?
I still don't think His Royal Highness should have brought her here. I wonder you can be so pleasant to her.
Jealousy, Charlotte, is at the bottom of all the troubles and misfortunes of the world. Besides, I know Bertie.
Well, what do you think of her?
I think your wife's the most wonderful woman I've ever met.
So do I.
Look who's just turned up.
Arthur!
Well, that's a fine way to greet an old friend.
I'm in London for a few days on business for the farm. I thought I'd look you up.
Splendid. I hope we see a lot of you.
I hope so too.
Come and sit down.
Thank you.
Oh, there's the bell. Where is Dominique? And why doesn't she answer the door?
I can't believe it. I was just writing to you.
Let me see.
No, certainly not.
You look well.
So do you. Are you really here on business?
Yes. To see you.
It's Whistler and Wilde.
I'll show them in, Ned.
Whistler the painter?
Yes.
And Wilde?
A friend of ours. A poet.
I've never met a poet.
Good day to you all.
This is an old acquaintance of ours from Jersey, Mr. Arthur Jones. James Whistler and Oscar Wilde.
How do you do?
Remarkably well, considering I've had such a tiring day.
What have you been up to, Oscar?
This morning I took out a comma. This afternoon I put it back.
Yes, if you'll excuse me.
Oh, no, please don't leave, Mr. Langtry. I have something here of tremendous import.
What's that?
Proof that our divine Lily's fame has spread to the other side of the world. A friend of mine sent me this newspaper from Boston, and I quote, "Among the phenomena of the London scene known as the professional beauties, a new star has arisen to dim all the others, Mrs. Edward Langtry. A vision never to be forgotten, the coloring brilliant and at the same time delicate. Public pets may be objectionable, but few could so well have survived the ordeal of public admiration and remain so natural as Mrs. Langtry."
That's marvelous.
Let me see it.
It's very flattering.
Nonsense. It's merely a pale reflection of the original.
You didn't get to the end of it. I quote, "Mrs. Langtry and the other professional beauties have a rival in the shape of a beautiful youth named Oscar Wilde, a poet and an aesthete. All the shop windows are adorned with pictures of him taken in the aesthetic style, with a bunch of lilies in his hand. He must look as lovely as a yellow cat having a fit in a dish of stewed tomatoes." Well, what do you think of that?
It's not very well written.
I think it's a masterpiece.
I'm sorry, Oscar.
Jimmy and I had already laughed at it. The joke was rather passé.
You may have it, Lily, to start your transatlantic archive.
Thank you, Jimmy.
What's this? Have you been enriching the art dealers?
It's my portrait by Edward Poynter. He's presented it to me.
Ah, then we must see it.
Oh, it's perfect. He hasn't caught my coloring. Not like Millie.
But then who could? Perhaps not even I.
I, too, find it perfect.
Do you like it? Then please borrow it. And take it with you.
Divinity, it will become my most treasured possession.
Mama.
Dr. Laking tells me you are not feeling any better.
I am.
In that case, why do I find you still here in bed?
Only a little tired.
From gadding about, like your eldest brother. I would have expected you to have more sense than to follow Bertie's example. Dancing, riding, dashing everywhere. You risk a hemorrhage. It is a mercy that this time you have been spared.
Yes, Mama.
You must rest and get well again soon. I depend on you, Leopold.
I will try.
Good. What is this?
A sketch, Mama.
Who is the person?
Mrs. Langtry, a lady in society.
Indeed. She is much too pretty.
Please, Mama.
This has no place here. I shall see it is disposed of.
He was highly mortified. Frank's promised to make him an exact copy.
Of course.
Thank you, Frank.
I think I like it.
You think so? Are you one of these people who know nothing about art but know what they like?
I know what I don't like.
And what is that?
Painting that pretends to be photographed.
Oh, Lily. I think there's hope for your protege.
Oh, a drop of the best. No, thank you. I have an appointment. I'll see you tonight.
Not this evening, Artie. I have a sitting with Mr. Watts for my portrait.
Oh, tomorrow morning then. Thank you, sir.
I thought you were going to the opera with the prince tonight.
I am. But Artie wouldn't understand.
How long is he staying?
Till Thursday.
You're going to Cal?
On Friday.
This is the view I promised you. Jersey's somewhere to the south. The Isle of Wight and Cowes, just over there.
It's lovely.
I wanted to bring you here. I've bought this piece of land. I'm tired of us meeting in other people's houses. I'm having a place built for us here. It will be in your name. You can do it up inside in any way you choose. But it will be our place for us to meet and be ourselves whenever we can get away.